excited to share. So we were little wanderings going back through all different stuff I looked up on YouTube or whatever, and stuff I've read or watched or listened to. But just imagining, back to caveman days, why would they write anything down? Maybe, this way for where food would be, or where the whatever animal that they're hunting would travel. Or they would, leave signposts for each other for, if they're going out forage, whatever. But it all seemed to be some type of survival. And it was a
Behind
useful
it all.
tool, and it worked. It was something humans could do that you didn't really see in, you know, outside of humans, so humans ran with it. And so with these human stories, but again, how did that come about? Again, it
So
kind of it
to
was prior. Yes.
yeah, so to take it from the top, it would be sort of a discovery of yours during your spiritual awakening, during your explorations of different materials, going through different YouTube sources to books, to audiobooks, to poetry, to a whole, kaleidoscope or plethora of provisions that guided you. Um, and in there, you found this interesting thread. um, the sort of curiosity of why do stories survive? Where did it even begin? Why are there so many of them? And what's the point of all of them?
Well said. Exactly. Thank you for that. That did encapsulate it. So yes, during all that discovery, that's kind of where it led me. And it was simple and it makes sense. This survival that, it helps, you know, we speak, and the reason becomes survival. But if you go back beyond that, it was purely thriving. It was just a way to thrive, not survive. It was
Okay.
it was tips and tools and tricks to thrive. And
So
and
let's go back to the sort of caveman example or the etchings on the walls and how one
yeah,
could say, see that either as survival or thriving, and maybe walk us through that one.
okay. So we don't, again, this is something that emerges from us.
Right.
So the divineness is gonna come out. And the way I see it coming out is, in the beginning, this ability to write symbols, and then it became, an alphabet. But going beyond, way back before that, but these symbols ended up being a representation of a thought, and it took form, and it was something that others just seeing it, you didn't need to catch people up. It just brought them right there. So this form you understood was run. This form you understood was food. It was family. It was love. It was
Right.
hunt. It was whatever. But
Mm.
each of these took on symbols. So the symbols often looked like or were a resemblance of, but it was an easy depiction for people at the time to go from thought to form and actually hold this thought and travel. And we saw how we could make people believe what we believed, and how if
Right.
we got their attention and we were able to guide them, that we could thrive greater
Right.
together,
Right.
and how we could build together, and how we could create together, and how we could just
So
live lighter and better and more beautifully, and we saw this and it came about. But like everything else, as we're creating in this duality, survival emerged as well. So
I
it
see.
went from thriving to surviving. And that happened a lot with as things became paid for by whatever religion or whatever government to transcribe, to write, to recreate, whether it be the Bible or be the textbooks or whatever, the history of all that is purchased. This understanding of how other people see our actions and our choices in these matters as we're helping create or destroy these things together with our actions and our interactions. So as we're able to see that, we're creating and destroying, and our judgment does all that, and that's creating the forces that we're seeing and how they play out. And it's just our interpretation of them. So as we release and let go, which is natural, but the point of all these stories was a
Sorry.
thriving.
So we're looking at and observing, talking on glyphs, symbols, and their progression throughout time, and not being a sort of a survival mechanism, but more a representation of celebration or thriving. And then I sort of lost you as you explained how at some point, through governance, through religious, through controlling texts, it was used or became a tool of survival, or that paradigm emerged as it would naturally.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. So as we create and give birth to each word, each symbol, each thought, we're doing the same thing as we're giving birth to a child. We're literally creating it, and then it has a life of its own. And with each word in this now thriving becomes surviving mentality, we notice that we are able to move people's attention and move the energy, and how we're able to see it coming and control it. And it's a natural thing if you're looking. Not everybody's looking. But once our systems, whether it be our government, and again, as we create a government, just saying the word, we create and it has a life force of its own. And then and it grows and it grows and it creates its own force underneath it. So religion itself, the idea of religion, but if you go to just Catholicism or whatever, but just religion in itself, that word itself has a whole lot of power in it. And if it comes from a religious background or religious origin, it brings feelings of duality for anybody that feels anything from that origination. So everything has feelings that go along with it. So with each symbol and each thing that we create, and again, it's going from the microscopic to the macroscopic. It's seeing stuff move in abundance. But as more people believe this symbol means this, and the more they rely on the symbol rather than their intuition and their understanding and their own, if they see this, a do not enter sign or a whatever sign, if they see this and they give it the power, then their attention, their power is going to an entity that isn't, the essence has left it. It's not speaking presently, but it's speaking within them presently, because we've given away our intuition. We're not using this inside knowing voice understanding. We're operating in a material world, and we're letting our experiences create we're the weak force in our actions, where it's actually when we're moving with divine intention, when we're thinking, when we're communicating, when we're presently present, that's when we are operating in a strong force. So with each of these symbols, and as symbols became letters, and there's a whole lot you can go through a history on, just the language itself, but they become powerful for the user. So I can use a symbol without having anything, but the symbol is more powerful than the words I say or the things I do, and it draws attention. So a lot of people use stuff to grab attention, but it's duping. It's not for the purposes that it's perceived to be. So from this perspective, but I can say it from this perspective and I can get your attention. But we've noticed that we can do that. So all of our data and all of our systems and everything that's out there can read all this data, and they see what we do and how we do it. But we do naturally grab people's attention, and we use the materials that we have at our disposal. And a lot of what's taught is tactics on how to grab attention with this headline, with whatever different tactics, but there's also an inside knowing that says we don't have to grab people's attention. People naturally want to know more about this, and it's just in a drawing format that we're kind of operating. It's a drawing attention. It's not a grabbing attention. So it's free will at its core. It's saying, what, I choose to start looking at things from a perspective of I'm at the center of all conversations. It's I, we, us, and ours. I am the center of my universe, and I'm the center of everything. Nobody's to blame other than myself, and blaming does nothing but cripple. So there is no blame. There's only rejoicing and celebration and goal planning and solutions and to-dos, taking our to-dos and making to-dos when they've been accomplished. It's just celebrating life as we're going. And so as we look at all these stories, what's natural is that this duality plays out, and naturally the funds are going to fund a certain conversation because it supports them. But as we fund the conversation, as we fund it, but we're still trying to figure out how it all works. And it's this, sorry, my dog is barking. He's inside. Okay. I didn't know if he was outside. It's an inside bark. But as we're funding this conversation, this is just we're just playing out an old paradigm, a belief that we don't see existing, and we're just playing it out. But if all of us in media, in every form of news and I don't know, influence, any influencer, if we're all speaking presently and celebrating life as it is right now, and not playing out these old paradigms of, how things should change, or how, if we look around, stuff has changed. Things are greater. Every day things are greater and more magnificent, and it's our conversation that's holding us from realizing it. And literally, it's the words that we say have a different resonance, and what materializes in our reality is different because of how we communicate it. But when we communicate with a different language, with a language of using the supporting materials that support love and honesty and transparency and united, just thriving, anything that supports our thrival as a in any way is the key. And it's just minor shifts, but we can all just share one little way to thrive. So even if everybody just had you know, a minute where they just did a quick tagline of good morning, and I don't know, we're gonna create an app, so maybe it's just a morning affirmation or a good morning to the world that is just a live stream to everybody. But it's us honoring this divine knowing that everything is fantastic. So anyways, at the point of all of our stories, when we see how our governments have funded a certain thing, it's to operate, and it's all for good. There's no evil in it, but everything that we've created, the essence involved in the creation and the essence in the people that are actually working in positions where it's just a lot of it just hasn't caught up with what's in the human spirit that's in the individual spaces that we have. All of our solutions are right here in front of us, and if all of us just wake up and utilize our voices and speak joyously and communicate and just open our arms and allow everybody to just openly shift and feel the love that exists. It's just, we've been a little chilly for our own self-survival, but survival is not it. We don't need survival. We thrive when we come together. And so this is just kind of what we've been funding is MGI kind of was created way back because I didn't know how to thrive every day. So as we were speaking this morning, I'm really looking forward to a weekly conversation where we just rejoice, tell everybody how quickly we're actually creating within this space, creating this entity that's gonna help all of us communicate with more ease and automate our habits and our daily communication. But I really believe that this website will help do this because it gives us the foundation so we don't have to go back and explain where we're coming from. It kind of just puts everybody at the point and clears the plate. So then as we develop an app of our, habits, and, journaling is just a way of rejoicing and feeling it in the moment. But as we write it, we're actually taking thought and moving it to form. So there's special things involved in journaling that we can all utilize every day, that we don't need all these amazing tools to journal. You just simple. So I know we're probably out of time, but I'm looking forward to, the journaling and, just the app, talking about the app and where we're going, and then talking about golden threading and having everybody just pick their favorite thing and find the golden thread, find that thing that brings us right to that place of bliss. It's finding the message within it that's singing through it, finding the why they had to say the words that they're saying. That's the essence, and that golden thing that's speaking is amazing. And then just speaking back about, how we are creating our world, and just having somebody somewhere tell their story of rejoicing, and how we just are celebrating, because hell yeah, we can do both.